All right, we're back getting an update on issues that matter to taxpayers at the federal level. We're chatting with Franco Terrazzano, who's the federal director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Franco, before the break, you were giving us a quick glimpse as to what's happening in terms of Ottawa's finances. The federal budget's coming up, and one number that was it's a pretty staggering figure. You said that the federal deficit is about $40 billion. For perspective, roughly how much does Ottawa spend each year?
About $500 billion is their total spending.
Okay, so if we put this into perspective for a household, is what's going on in Ottawa similar to someone making $50,000 a year, but spending $54,000 a year? Is that roughly the kind of thing that we're seeing in Ottawa?
Well, I mean, they're overspending every single year, right? That's the big problem. And they've been overspending
Yeah.
for so much time. I mean, look, even before the pandemic, the federal government was spending all-time highs. Okay, so in 2018, the federal government was spending more money than the federal government did during World War II. And yes, that is adjusted for inflation and population growth, right? So this is crazy. And one of the reasons that I think it should matter to all Canadians is just how much money we're wasting to pay interest charges on the federal debt. So in the upcoming budget year, the federal government will spend about $50 billion on interest charges. Now, to throw that into perspective, that's more money than what the federal government will send to the provinces in health transfers. Okay, so interest
Wow.
charges will be more than federal health transfers. And it gets worse. By 2028, interest charges will be around 60-ish billion dollars. Now, that'll be more than what the federal government collects through its GST. So in a couple years, every time you pay the federal sales tax, every single penny will be going to cover the interest charges on the federal debt.
Wow. These aren't exactly happy updates that you're providing. So, at the risk of depressing our viewers, I'm going to switch gears to something that's, also depressing, but the numbers are at least a lot smaller. This is the whole boondoggle that's happening right now with ArriveCan. The app that people, correct me if I'm wrong, you've been following this more closely than I have, but this is the app that people had to download on their phones during the pandemic so that if they went to another country and they were coming back in, they could use the app to register all their information and their vaccine status, whatever, to get back into the country. Isn't that essentially what ArriveCan was all about?
Yeah, that's correct. But let me just refresh everyone on the memories of the spiraling costs of the ArriveCan debacle. Okay, so it was initially
Hmm.
launched at a price tag of about $80,000. Then taxpayers find out the cost had somehow spiraled to $26 million. Then we hear it's $54 million. Then the Auditor General says, well, the costs are more like $60 million, but the records are so bad, we have no idea what the true costs actually are. So let me break it down even further, okay? Imagine you take your car into the mechanic. It's a quick fix. The mechanic thinks it's going to be about an $80 fix. Then you find out
Hmm.
the bill is closer to $2,600. Then you get the final bill back. It's $6,000 and the invoice is redacted. You'd be furious. But that's exactly how taxpayers have been treated all along the way in this ArriveCan scandal.
It seems mind-boggling that they can't figure out the total cost. Like, you've got certain people that are working on the project, they're sending in their invoices. How can you not just gather up all the invoices from those contractors and say, okay, here's what the total is?
Well, this is one of the big issues that the Auditor General found was just the lack of transparency, right? Us taxpayers, it's our money. The government should have a financial duty to be as clear as possible with taxpayers on how the money is spent. But look, the Auditor General was like, it's close to 60 million. I think we don't have the right proper financial record keeping. But the Auditor General also noted that there was missing documents. There was glaring disregard for basic management practices. There was no defined project costs or project objectives or budgets or cost estimates. Another staggering finding from the Auditor General report shows that there were employees in the Government of Canada that were not disclosing invitations from contractors for dinners and other activities. And Colin, one more staggering finding from the Auditor General was that the ArriveCan contractors billed at a little more than $1,000 a day, which was a 61% premium over costs of normal federal IT specialists. So look, from day one, taxpayers have been left in the dark on this. We've seen costs grow and grow and grow. And where is the accountability? That's the key question from taxpayers.
Well, I'll tell you, RiveCan's like a stinky onion. There's lots of layers to it. We'll continue to peel it away in just a moment after this commercial break.